Hello there, men, and welcome to the Masculinism Movement channel, place for men to be empowered in their masculinity in an anti-male age. I'm your host, Brian Crawl, and today I'm going to be talking to you about feigned interest from girls versus real interest. This is something I talked about in a video called Signs That She Isn't Really Into You, and I wanted to do an even deeper dive into it because it is a real problem these days. Men getting seduced by gold diggers, for instance, who don't really like the men for who they are, just what they can do for them, right? Or men just wasting time on girls who are giving them mixed signals. This mixed signals that women give is a huge problem that us men talk about a lot when we talk about how complicated and mysterious women are. So let's pull back the veil from this mystery and get into it. First, we need to understand why women do this. Why do they feign interest or give mixed signals to make us think that they might be interested when they definitely aren't? Well, for starters, some of these women are at work and they are in what I call customer service mode. I developed this when I was just starting in my career at 18 in retail, and I was taught customer service skills. And then I noticed that a lot of the women that I worked with would actually use a totally different voice when they were working with a customer or certain other employees. And then when they were talking to me, it was just like I would talk to my high school friends, right? They would be real with me, but as soon as a customer or the boss or another employee would come along, they'd sort of correct their posture and then start speaking in their customer service voice. That's something you got to pay attention to, all right? If you think that a girl who's a salesperson or a waitress or a cashier even is interested in you because she is being very friendly, it is 99.9% of the time just her being in customer service mode. Don't even bother hitting on girls who are at work unless there certainly could be an exception. Like I said, I had girls who I would hang out with, who I worked with, who would talk to me different than they talked to the customers and the other employees. But you're going to know for sure that that is the case, right? Because they are then hanging out with you and talking to you like a real person, right? So you will know when it is the exception. You're not going to be trying to sort out these mixed signals in your head, okay? You will know for sure when a girl is being real with you and in customer service mode with other people. But it's generally not going to be the case. So if you're trying to figure out whether or not a girl is flirting with you and she was at work, and it's just because she was being extremely friendly, it wasn't flirting, okay? That was her being in customer service mode. But what if she's not at work? There's also what I call polite society mode, all right? So something similar would happen when I used to go out networking. I used to be a nightclub promoter and big into networking, and I would see the same shit, girls putting on fake personas. Really the same thing, just outside of the workplace, so I don't want to repeat myself, but just keep in mind, polite society dictates with this sort of what is called a social contract that people talk to each other a certain way. That is, assuming they're going to be running in the same circles. A girl's not going to be unfriendly towards you if she thinks there's a chance she's going to run into you again in the future. All right, so when you're running in the same social circles, women are going to be extremely polite and friendly with you. That doesn't mean that they are flirting with you. It just means they're being polite. And it also depends on the type of girl or the type of social situation and environment or the type of culture. So, for instance, some girls, when they're out in social mode, they get exuberantly outgoing. And they will be flirty with everyone, even other girls. And so you do need to watch for that, right? A girl who is being extremely talkative and outgoing and showing a lot of interest in the conversation with you and maybe touching you on your arm or whatever, that might just be her social persona, okay? These are all good signs for a girl who is not usually that way, but that might just be her social persona, okay? And so you need to make sure that she's only doing it with you and not with everyone. Also, a lot of girls get that way when they're drinking, okay? So if you're going out to socialize at bars, a lot of women are exuberantly friendly when they are drinking, especially because they want other guys to party with them, buy them drinks and shit, right? And then there are certain cultures where women are expected to be extremely polite. And then beyond that, there's certain cultures where women do things that they wouldn't do in other cultures. So kissing on the cheeks or hugging or acting submissive these are things that are very common in certain cultures and uncommon in others. So if a girl goes from one culture to another, that behavior might be seen as flirtatious, and it's not. It is just considered politeness for a woman in her culture, right? So don't just consider politeness and friendliness to be flirting, all right? Because that might just be her social persona. She wants to be nice in her social life because she wants other people to be nice to her. She wants to make friends, and that's all there is to it. One of the reasons that women do this extreme politeness is to avoid conflict. So you might, for instance, show interest in a girl, give her a compliment, and she might give one back just because she feels like it's the socially appropriate thing to do, and she wants to avoid disappointing you. All right. So a lot of very polite women in their social lives will always try to avoid conflict by disappointing others. All right. So if you give them some positive social cue, they will give one back, just because mirroring is part of how they sort of ping off of others. They want to reciprocate the vibe and energy, right, in order to further their social life, right, and avoid conflict. But then what happens is guys think, oh, that's a good sign. I gave her a compliment on her outfit and she gave me one on mine, right? So they then take it further. They might ask the girl for her phone number, right, and she might give it to you to avoid conflict and avoid disappointing you. And then he asks her out on a date, and they might sort of give you a half-hearted yes, right, without making it concrete, right? But they will try to avoid disappointing you by saying no, right? Because they don't want conflict. So a lot of women will literally give men half-accepted dates, right? Halfway accept their invitation by saying, yeah, that sounds nice, I'll get back to you. Or, yeah, that sounds nice, I just don't know when I would be able to, or something like that. And the man is focusing on the part where she said, yeah, that sounds nice, or yeah, maybe. A maybe is a no, okay? These girls are just trying to avoid conflict from disappointing others, all right? So just keep in mind, a girl who is interested in you isn't just going to be mirroring your social cues or saying maybe. They're not just going to be polite. They're going to really show it, okay? But beyond that, some women will feign interest from men. Instead of just giving you lukewarm responses, some women will flirt with you outright. And why would they do that if it's not something they're really interested in? If they're not interested in fucking you, why would they flirt with you? Well, it's to get attention and validation, and in many cases, even entertainment from you, okay? She may enjoy the fact that you compliment her and flirt with her back, all right? So she may do that to get attention and validation. Your flirting makes her feel more empowered in her sexuality as a woman, makes her feel sexy. Okay, that doesn't mean she's going to fuck you. She's just eliciting attention and validation. All right. But beyond that, some women will even accept dates from a man because they want entertainment. All right. So if a woman is saying yes to going on a date with you and going through with the scheduling of it and letting you take her on it because you made her an offer she couldn't refuse, you offered to take her out to the best restaurant around, you offered to take her out to some really great entertainment, and you're getting her drunk, whining and dining her and all that. But she is not being extremely interested in you as a person. Well, she's just doing it for the fun of getting entertained by a man who caters to her every desire. Okay? So don't entertain women. Don't validate them. Don't give them attention unless they seem genuinely interested in you, unless they're showing an interest in who you are and developing some connection with you. However, some women will feign interest in who you are and developing some sort of relationship dynamic with you. And why would they do that? Well, to get favors and help and support, be it emotional or monetary or whatever, from you. A lot of women will develop these fake relationships with guys who are really just their sponsors, who they call upon to fix things when they need fixing, their car or computer or, appliances in their kitchen or plumbing or whatever. And any sort of monetary help or favors or emotional support, a lot of women will develop these sort of fake boyfriends who they just rely upon for help and emotional support, and they treat the guy like their therapist or their taxi driver, or a sponsor, like I said. All right. So you have to know whether a girl really cares about you and is into you or is just using you, because women will feign interest from guys who they want to really capitalize on and use. And a lot of these women are very exploitative and very good at it. Some of them make whole careers out of just using men. All right, you don't want to be one of these guys. Which brings me to the next reason women feign interest in men is to cultivate orbiters and simps to draw upon for social currency. All right, if a girl is treating you like this, you're not her boyfriend. Guess what? You are just one of a number of orbiters and simps, a whole army of men that she has been cultivating over the years to draw upon the social currency of. All right, it is extremely sociopathic and narcissistic and exploitative. You do not want to be just a number in a simp army. All right, and then the last reason women feign interest in men is because she may actually just have an extremely bubbly, outgoing, positive social personality, and again, may just act like that with everyone when they are in a social context. They may be a narcissist, what is called a communal narcissist, where they treat everyone like a special connection because they want to build those social connections for social currency, right? It just might be her social personality. A lot of women are just simply bubbly people, all right? So don't be fooled if she's acting that way with everyone. Like I said, it's just not about you, okay? So let's talk more about how to detect feigned interest and what it looks like exactly. And then we'll talk about what real interest looks like so that you can tell the two apart. Feigned interest looks like polite small talk and customer service type conversations. All right, you're going to have surface level conversations with this girl pretty much always. You could have deeper conversations at times, but for the most part, it's going to be polite small talk. We're talking about these positive and friendly text messages that are always short and to the point, low investment from her. Like she is just trying to keep you and her on each other's radar, right? But she's not really giving you much communication. You're not really having real conversations. And when you do, when you get together in your social groups or whatever, again, it's customer service type conversations. She is in a certain mode. She's putting on a certain voice, a certain type of social persona. And, it's just going to be polite social, talk, right? It's not going to be deep connective talk, all right? This will also look like general agreeableness and friendliness, like she doesn't want to create a lot of disagreements, debates, arguments, because she just doesn't care, right? Like think about couples and how they will argue because they care, right? They will argue because they don't want the other person to disagree with them on this important issue, all right? But if you disagree with her, and she doesn't care, it's going to show. She's not going to bother debating. Right? She may just say, oh, well, I just disagree. Let's agree to disagree, right? They turn the disagreement into an agreement because they don't give a shit. They don't care about your opinion, right? And generally, they won't even bother disagreeing. They will generally just yes you to death, right? There's going to be a certain agreeability and friendliness to these women. They want to keep it civil and avoid conflict even when it counts, right? Another thing that it looks like is patronizing you with, quote, friendship. They will sort of instantly put you in the friend zone and into a role of being their friend so that you think you guys have some sort of social connection or relationship dynamic, right? And it's really kind of like they're keeping you close in a controlled way. They're trying to control the dynamic so that you do not get any big ideas about flirting with them, hitting on them, trying to have sex with them. And that's why women put men in the friend zone, but also because they don't want to push him away. They still need him to be part of their social scene. They'll call you a friend when you haven't actually developed a friendship yet. Like friendships require time and energy investment and connection, right? In-depth conversation. And if they're calling you their friend before any of that's happened, that's suspect, okay? Also, if they give you these patronizing names, like calling you their, quote, little friend, or their, quote, BFF, any type of token, label, or role, that is a superficial and meaningless thing, okay? Don't think that because she called you her little friend or her BFF that means you have a special relationship, okay? You're not her real BFF. This girl has another BFF or more than one BFF, and it's a girl. It's girls. They're other girls, right? And calling you that is a feminine thing. Like, she might actually even think that you're gay, okay? So Patronizing friendship is a red flag of feigned interest. All right. Another thing is if she rarely ever talks to you on the phone, like I said, only gives you these short, superficial, little small talky text messages. And if you ever do talk on the phone, it's her calling upon you to chat whenever they are most bored or they really need someone to talk to, right? So, friends talk to each other routinely and not just once in a while when they're at their most lonely or when they are at their most emotionally needy. Okay, so if this girl is only talking to you when she's extremely bored or is in an emotional place and needs someone to support her, and she doesn't have a therapist to do so, so she calls upon you, that is a very bad sign. All right, especially when, in many of these cases, you'll find that when you really want to talk or need to talk and you call her up, she doesn't even respond, doesn't even call you back until, again, she's in this place where she's extremely lonely and needs someone to give her attention or needs some support. Another thing, friends hang out with each other just because they enjoy each other's company. And when a girl is not just hanging out with you just to spend time with you, but will only spend time with you when incentivized to do so, like when you've planned out some sort of entertaining, event, or when she only calls upon you to get together when they need something, when they need a favor from you. That is a sign of feigned interest. She doesn't actually give a shit, okay? Another thing is when there's no in-depth personal conversations, no emotional sharing or connection or intimacy, all right? No long, deep bonding sessions. We know what these are like. We used to have them very frequently in high school. It happens less frequently as an adult. And so we start to think that, oh, it's just normal. It's normal to not have in-depth personal connections as an adult. And you could still date someone who you don't connect with in that way. No, you can't, all right? Again, it's superficial bullshit. She's not actually interested in you on a deeper level. If she was, you would be having in-depth, lengthy, personal conversations that are centered around emotional connection and sharing and developing intimacy. And you would be doing that repeatedly and bonding more and more every time that you do. If that's not happening, the interest is not real. Another, if you are never alone with her one-on-one, or if you do get her alone, she keeps a social distance from you and won't sit next to you, her interest is feigned. Again, you're just there to fill a void in her life and pay her some attention or engage with her socially when she has nothing else to do. Okay? If a girl's interested in you, she's going to want to get you alone one-on-one. She's going to want to bridge any physical gap and get next to you and cuddle up, all right, and become physically intimate. All right? If that's not happening, that's a sign that she just isn't interested. Next, if she is doing minimal to no flirting, and the flirting that she does do is what I would call token flirting, which means that it does qualify as flirting, right? But it's not going anywhere because it's still just social touch. It's still just a social level of engagement. So she's not really touching you romantically. When she does touch you, it's minimal and it's just in social areas like your forearm. All right. If a girl touches you on your forearm and she does so in a playful, flirty way, it kind of feels sweet and everything, you might want to tell yourself, oh, she was flirting with me. She likes me. But if she only does that and never advances into any kind of romantic touch, let alone sexual touch, and the touching just stays there in social mode and is minimal, it's because she isn't interested. All right. It is just what I call token flirting. And similarly, if there's no sexual innuendos that she throws out there to suggest that she wants something sexual with you, there we go, okay? Because if a woman is interested in sex, while she may not communicate it very directly, she is at the very least going to be throwing out hint after hint after hint to try to elicit you making the first move, all right? So you want to look for this, and if she does give a hint, you want to clarify. You want to say, oh, does that mean that I could, come in closer? Does that mean I can kiss you? Does that mean you want me to touch you like this? Whatever. All right. Women will throw out innuendos to elicit the first move. And if she's never making any sexual suggestions, never doing any kind of sexual communication whatsoever, no sexual joking around, no sexual teasing, never even talking about sex, mentioning it or hinting at that possibility between you two, it's because she doesn't want it. She doesn't want to have sex with you. That's why she's never saying anything that could be interpreted sexually. Makes sense, right? So don't go reading into her actions when she isn't clearly dropping sexual hints. And then if she isn't trying to spend time with you just for the sake of being close to you, and is instead asking for money to see you, or asking for you to make her some sort of entertaining offer and to plan some, nice big date, it's because she doesn't care about you. She's just trying to get something from you. So let me tell you what it's like when a girl wants to be with you. She will call you up, ask you what you are doing, and then ask, no matter what it is, if she can join. I remember one of the first girlfriends I had when I was 20, 21. I remember once I was doing household chores, and she calls me up and asks what I'm doing. I said, I'm doing my chores. And she said, okay, well, when are you going to be done? I said, I don't know. I have a lot to do. I have to clean all of the floors, right? And that answer wasn't good enough. She wanted to make plans to see me that day. So she said, well, when can I see you? I said, I don't know. I will have to get back to you when I'm done with my chores. And she said, well, can I just come over and help you? Yeah, she said, can I just come over and help you? We'll get it done quicker, and then we can spend the rest of the day together. That is what it is like when a girl is truly interested in you, okay? She will want to spend time with you even if she just has to come and help you with your housework, right? Or if you're at work, she may stop by to see you. Even though you're not supposed to really have friends over at work, right? Or girlfriends or whatever. Women will try to insert themselves into your life and spend time with you just to be close, even if you aren't, dressed up to the nines and trying to take them out on an entertaining date. You could be all dirty, cleaning the house, and they'll want to come help you if they are really interested in you. And they certainly won't ask to be compensated for spending time with you, or to be bribed and incentivized with some, expensive meal and entertainment. That's something women do to someone they don't want to spend time with. If you have to bribe someone to spend time with, it's because they don't like you. They don't want you. All right. And then lastly, if a girl is warning you about herself and purposely showing you obvious red flags about herself and behaving badly, almost as if in an effort to push you away, it's because that is in fact what she's doing. She is trying to push you away. Right? Back when I was a pickup artist coach, I remember one of the first guys I took out to do infield coaching. We approached this hot girl who, I start asking her about herself. She instantly starts warning me about herself. So I, pulled my friend away. I say, yeah, let's go. He's like, why not? She was engaged. She seemed interested. And I was like, what about someone warning you about herself seems interested? Well, you tell us to disqualify and tease and challenge. And, maybe she was just playing hard to get. And I'm like, dude, she warned you about herself. If someone warns you about themselves, believe them. Okay. If a girl tells you how toxic she is, believe her. If a girl tells you how much of a bad girl she is, believe her. All right. And if she doesn't tell you, if she shows you red flags and bad behavior, then believe the non-linguistic language that she's been giving you. Okay. She is trying to push you away. So you should go the fuck away. All right. Because these are signs of a girl not actually wanting you. So what does real attraction and real interest look like? How do we know when a girl really wants us? Well, she will contact you and try to talk to you somehow, any way she can. On most days, she will want to touch base with you. She will text you or contact you on whatever social media platform she can. She will not be allergic to phone calls. Okay. If you're not responding to her text messages, she may actually call you. All right. She will be contacting you just to interact with you. All right. And if she doesn't contact you first, if you do contact her first, she will respond to you and make communication with you a priority. You will not have to wait for very long to hear back from her. That makes sense, doesn't it? And then beyond communication, she, like I said, will try to bridge the gap and get together with you just to be close and spend time with you. All right. Even if you are doing something that makes you dirty and smelly, like working, she will want to pick you up from work so that you can then just go right ahead to spending the rest of the day together. All right. Proximity is the biggest indicator of attraction. A girl who's attracted to you and wants to be with you will come as close into proximity with you as she can, as soon as she can, without you bribing her. Okay. She may even show up at your house early when you have plans, or she may show up when you don't have plans. All right, these are all things women do with men who they want to spend time with. They seek these men out. They are attracted to them like a magnet. They try to get as close as possible. Okay. Also, her obviously flirting outright in a way that is not a mixed signal, but is overt and obvious, making sexual suggestions and innuendos and hints that she wants to fuck in a way that is obvious and undeniable, not hard to read. Now, this is what women do with guys who they want to have sex with. They make it known so that they don't lose the opportunity. Okay? And then her trying to get into physical contact with you, touching you in non-social ways, such as stroking your whole arm. Right? Not just touching you lightly on your forearm at times or giving you a little nudge here and there, right? But literally stroking you in a way that is meant to generate a pleasant sensation and arouse you, or getting her whole entire body close to you and up against you and just creating as much physical closeness as possible through hugging and cuddling, snuggling, right? This is what women do when they are attracted to a guy. They try to get their bodies as close as possible. Also, her not wanting to leave too soon. All right. If a woman meets up with you and leaves within an hour or two, it's because she doesn't really like spending time with you, right? It may just be a token thing that she has done because she had a spare hour or so to kill, right? But a woman who's interested in you won't want to leave very soon. You know, she will end up staying later than planned. She will end up spending the night in many cases, even though she hadn't planned on it, all right? She won't want to leave your presence any earlier than she has to. And in fact, you may have to be the one to suggest that she leave, that it has gotten too late, all right? That's how you know she wants to be with you. Another is that she acts enthusiastic about connecting with you in any way, all right? If she acts like she's excited to spend time with you, all right? If she acts like she's happy to see you when you get together, you know, if when she sees you, her face lights up and she comes sort of prancing over and gives you a big hug and just looks so happy to see you, that's because she is, right? I mean, some women can just, again, be drunk in this social persona and do this, but, you know, you'll be able to tell, for instance, if she's only doing this when she's drunk, right? And if it's only on certain occasions, right? But generally, if she's interested in connecting with you, dating you, whatever, she's going to be enthusiastic and excited about doing so and act happy to see you, right? You're going to be able to tell what her emotions are because they're going to be exuberantly expressive. And then when she's not being exuberantly expressive, let's say you two are relaxing together, you're just chilling, you're in deep conversation, right? She's not all over you or anything, but she will be gazing at you. You'll be able to tell because of how her eyes are fixated on you so intently, and she will have positive emotion on her face, like a smile. You know, she'll have a certain smile. She'll be just gazing at you deeply, making eye contact. All right. That's something women do when they really like a guy. They will sort of become entranced by him. And you'll just be doing this eye gaze, and she'll be smiling at you so sweetly. You know, like there's just so much dopamine being produced in her brain just by her looking at you and listening to you. That's real interest. All right. These are all the signs of real attraction and interest that are not feigned. All right. So in conclusion, to sum it all up, what you want to be doing is looking at and listening to women's actions and not just their words, especially, you know, the little words they send over text message or whatever. All right. Actions speak louder than words. So if you say something like, maybe we should hang out sometime, to, you know, some cute cashier who's been nice to you, you'll know if she's interested by how she says yes. All right. So here's two different scenarios in which a girl says yes. In one, she's not interested. And in the second, she is. If she looks concerned and hesitates and, you know, sort of shakes her head back and forth a little like she's thinking about it, and then shrugs her shoulders and says, yeah, maybe we should. Are you on Facebook? And then gives you her Facebook or, some other social media. And then when you text her on it, she barely ever responds. Well, she isn't interested, But if you say, maybe we should hang out sometime, and her eyes and her whole face lights up, and she excitedly, enthusiastically says, yeah, in that sort of tone, that's the kind of tone, that a girl who's excited to see you will give when you suggest it, and then she gives you her direct number, and when you text her, she responds later that day, the next chance she gets, and is just giving you a lot of positive engagement, and also is working with you to get together. That is real interest, okay? You will be able to hear it in her words, see it in her body language and expressions, and also in the fact that she is making plans and keeping them, and also having very lengthy discussions with you that produce a certain deep connected dynamic between you two that won't happen with women who are just giving you this feigned interest and these superficial token interactions. Additionally, let's say a girl has gotten you on a date, right? She's agreed to the date, made plans, followed up, you're on a date now, right? But she is not asking you a lot of questions about yourself beyond job interview type questions. Like she's asking you about what you do for work, or, your family, basic things that you would ask anyone you're hanging out with who you're trying to just get to know for the first time. But she's not trying to build any sort of sense of who you are as a deeper character, like who you really are deep inside. She's not trying to make an emotional connection, right? She's not asking you about your interests and your passions, thoughts and feelings, your life philosophy, things like that, right? If she is staying across the table and not engaging in a lot of physical contact, this is feigned interest, right? It may be a date, a quote unquote date that you are both calling a date, but there's still nothing there. You are in job interview mode. The interest is just feigned, okay? If she's really interested, what that looks like is her getting closer, looking at you with these certain sort of sweet, submissive eyes. They make their eyes big, like puppy dog eyes. They tilt their head a certain way. They make what we call kiss me eyes. If she's touching you softly and sensually, this is interest, romantic sexual interest, all right? You will feel it. You are not in job interview mode on a date. You are in a romantic mode, all right? One of the ways to test this is if you are on a date, you need to not sit across the table from each other. Sit next to her. If she's interested in you, she will welcome it and will cuddle up next to you and start building intimacy in whatever ways are appropriate. All right. A girl who isn't interested in being intimate with you and romantic will want to stay in job interview mode with a certain gap between you two. All right. So you're probably wondering now, how do I get real interest from girls instead of feigned interest? Well, the first thing is you need to be lowering your standards and not going for girls who are higher status than you, higher attractiveness than you. If you're a guy who's like a 6 and you're going for girls who are 8s and above, that's going to be an almost impossible task, because those girls are getting interest from guys who they would consider to be a 10 on their scale, and those are the guys they're going to show romantic, real interest in. All right. So then the next thing, besides lowering your standards so that they are closer to you on that scale, is to do looks maxing so that you can raise yourself up. All right. So if you are a 6 and you want to go for 8s, you need to make yourself around an 8. Okay. That is just the cold, hard truth. There's no way around it. All right. It is very unlikely that you can get an 8 permanently when you are a 6, just using game or whatever. Okay. I know I've done it, and you really just need to looks max. You need to bridge that gap. All right. Luckily, most of these girls who are 8s are actually just 6s who have been made up to look like 8s, right? So that's why you looks maxing will work, because you, as a man without makeup, as an 8, is actually her dating up, because she's only an 8 with makeup on. Without it, she's probably a 6 or a 7. Okay. So you need to do the looks maxing. And then you also need to play the long game. All right. Don't just go direct on girls and expect to get fucked instantly. All right. If you're looking to, for instance, game a cute cashier who gives you feigned interest because she's in customer service mode, there's no good game that is going to get her out on a date and into romance mode anytime quick. You're going to have to play the long game. You're going to have to build attraction from this girl over the course of months. All right. So take your time. Do not go into try hard gamey mode, trying to be very direct with a girl, telling her you're attracted to her, you want to take her on a date or do XYZ or whatever. You're going to have to take it slow, because in many situations, especially if you are not a top tier guy, the best way to build attraction with a girl is over long periods of time. It's going to take the right type of game, but it does work. You know, a lot of people say, oh, you don't need to do all of that because you're just going to get in the friend zone. It's like, well, if you are in the friend zone, you'll be able to tell, and you can definitely abandon ship at that point. But with a girl who is just an acquaintance, and you see her maybe once a week when it's Friday night at the bar, or, happy hour at the bar, or you see her once a week because she's a cashier at the grocery store, you do your grocery shopping, you can have these little fun flirty interactions with her once a week that will go somewhere. Okay, trust me, a lot of couple ships were built that way, and a lot of girls will end up finding men attractive who they didn't at first sight, because that man was fun and flirty in the right doses over a long period of time, and she got used to it and started seeing him as more and more attractive, and then started building rapport and emotional connection and intimacy, and then you guys eventually got sexual. This is often the way that couples are made, all right? So don't try to become like a pickup artist for girls in your social circle or cashiers that you see or whatever who are feigning interest in you, and try to become direct, because then you'll just end up in one of these bad situations, realizing the hard way that this girl wasn't really interested in you. Real interest, if you are not a top tier guy and are not looks maxing to the point where you're in above 8, it's going to take time, okay? It's going to require you to show her your best self and be fun and flirty over long periods of time. So just stick with it and watch her signals and social cues so that you can detect whether or not you're dealing with feigned interest or real interest. And you may notice that you go from polite mode, polite social mode or customer service mode, into real sort of social dynamic mode, where you guys are acting more like actual friends, constantly talking to each other about real stuff that friends talk about, and then that leads into flirting and emotional connection and eventually romance and sex. All right, this is something that used to happen more frequently before dating apps and hookup culture, okay? And it still does happen among people who enter into real coupleships, all right? So that's the difference between feigned interest and real, and I hope that it has helped you.